Hi everybody, I'm Niels Stevens, Senior Solutions Consultant for Adobe in Europe. If I share my screen, with a bit of luck you can see what I'm up to. So I am also a LucidLink participant. I've got it mounted on this Windows crate as the L drive. So
and obviously, just to jump in, there's something I forgot, I've missed mentioning, which is quite important. This works brilliantly on Linux, Windows, and Mac OS. And obviously, one of the single kind of side benefits you get is the minute you put a file in LucidLink, it's instantly available to all of your Linux colleagues rather than having to get any XTFS file format or anything like that. And obviously on Windows as well. So apologies for not mentioning that earlier. Sorry, Niels.
Sounds good. No problem. So yeah, I'm a participant in this work group, and we are sharing currently a Premiere production. So in terms of nomenclature, productions was a new feature that we shipped around April, what would have been, I suppose, the NAB, so the virtual NAB release. But essentially, it's a new means of collaborating within local work groups of people. So it was designed and hardened by our team in Hollywood on a few long form features. So principally the last Terminator movie, but a few Netflix productions as well. And it's a means for people to have collaborative bins and bin locking. So that was kind of the intent of the design, but the sort of happy byproduct is that you can actually even use the function, even if you're working in isolation as well, as a means to keep your Premiere projects manageable in size so that they don't, bloat too big and take too long to load at the beginning of a job. So if I go and create a new production now, I'll just talk you through briefly what's actually happening at the disk level. So we'll call this live demo production, and I'll make sure to save it somewhere in the L drive. Premiere works for me. Create. So you get this new window here, the production window, and it's created me my first default project therein, simply called Untitled Project. And this legend here of a file with a green pencil on it shows that I'm currently the owner of that with write access. So I can create some more projects within here. We could have one called Dailies, have another one called Sequences, maybe GVs, and perhaps trailers, promos, something like that. So to show you what's actually happening at the disk level, again, I've created this in our shared space. I've got a parent directory called Live Demo Production, so that mirrors the name of the production inside Premiere. Within it, I have what's called a prod set file, which essentially is a database linking all of the projects together. And that's important because it makes sure that you don't get any duplication. So in a moment, we'll come on to this. We'll open a shared project with some existing media in it. But if you start creating a sequence in your sequences project and loading rushes in from elsewhere, it's not going to duplicate those clips inside that bin. So really, when it comes to long form workflows for features or drama or social promos or anything that's got large quantities of media, it means you can work a lot faster and get things open a lot quicker. So without further ado, let me close this production and I will open the existing one that we have been sharing. So that's inside. You didn't make this visible to the wider group, did you, Rupert?
No, it wasn't.
No, fair enough. Probably safe, probably best just now, but Premiere Productions demo. Let's open that up. So again, you'll see.
What we're going to do, guys, is hammer through this, and we don't want to waste your time, so we wanted to get through this in a reasonable time. But if people want to stick around and join our Premiere Edit Club, if you've got Premiere on your machine and you're running the right version, we can absolutely open it up. And people want to edit in real time with us, we'll look forward to the creation.
Sounds good. Live tutorial. So I've got dailies and scenes in here. So if I open up the Climber project. This is all my rushes for a wall climbing shoot, and I've got the corresponding sequences bin over here, also called Climber. So this edit here, you can see it's empty at the end. I've got the CinemaScope mat across there, and my music kind of lasts about 35 seconds. I still need one more shot on the end of there. So if I go to my source Climber bin, find a shot I like the look of. Yep, that's good, and drop it on the end. Still a bit short, so we can keep editing a few more of those on to bring us up to duration. I've added 2 shots to this sequence, but you'll notice in the climber project where the climber edit sequence lives, I haven't got any more assets in there, even though I'm continuing to add clips, you see? So it keeps that completely under control. If I go to the skater project here, I can see that my assistant editor has already done a rough cut and marked one of the shots for further attention here in sort of mango color. So if I do a match frame and find that in the original project, it's going to open up the constituent project for me, even though, again, those rushes didn't exist in the project bin. It's gone and found them in the rushes bin. And here it is again, marked in a sort of mango color. We can use Premiere's master clip effect function to be able to actually load a look or a LUT onto that. So if I go for something a bit moody, like let's say mono punch, go back to the, let's see, this bin here. If I now, regardless of whether I had write access or not to the sequence bin, if I load this onto the source, it's going to keep that LUT for any instance of that clip used in any sequence anywhere, if you see what I mean, because the genealogy follows through, and that link is between the projects is created by that prod set database file. So I can save over the top of that. In the meantime, if I decide then that this sequence now, the skater edit, needs some graphics on it, I can see by dint of this legend here that Philip is already in the graphics bin. So he's in there adding stills.
He's got read write on the graphics bin himself. He's
right.
made a graphic.
So the legend is a file, piece of paper icon with a green pencil for write access, and then a red padlock for read only access. But it doesn't prevent me, most importantly, from accessing the assets in this particular project. So if, for example, I want to load the Adobe logo, just put that on as an end card, I can still do that, you see? So I only need to have write access to the bin, the bin project in which the sequence resides. So it's going to be that one there, and I will save over it. That puts me in a good position to hand back to Philip, who can now pick up that sequence and do the exports from wherever he is, because we're working collaboratively. So if I relinquish control over this sequences bin, I will go to read-only mode. That should now permit me to stop sharing. Just make sure that has updated. Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing, and we can go over to Philip, and hopefully he should be able to pick up from there.
Yep. So here I can see the same production that Niels was in, and you can see that I have the write access on graphics as we saw earlier. So now I can pick up that skater project, and this is a little bit of relinking just because we're between different platforms, which I would do now.
I think, yeah, if you just go to the top level.
Yeah, there we are. So now we've got the same project here. I'll just mute that as well, just in case you're getting any sound coming through. We can see the card on the end as well that Niels put there just a moment ago. And now if I want to send this over to Rupert for review, we can also use Lucid to be able to export a viewing copy of this, which matches his bandwidth, which I'll do from this sequence. So let's just bring that up here. So I think we tried this the other day at 10 megabits. So we
might want to. Can we wind that down or not? No, I'm kidding. That's fine. 10's fine.
Yeah.
10's, no, I'm kidding, mate. It's fine.
So then what we'll do is we'll actually export this into. Should we put it in the read write video?
Put it in the read only, because you don't want me deleting it, mate, do you? So this obviously you can create, and going back to the conversation we had earlier, so you can see Philip can see more folders than you guys can because I've given him different permissions in different folders. And so if you're delivering to clients, clearly you can give them a read-only folder that is specific to them. If you're delivering to multiple clients, you can have in your Lucid Drive multiple folders all named after the clients and so on, and each client will only have a username, credentials to get in, which will show them their folder. So you can be dropping, like Philip's about to do, review copies into your Lucid Drive for all of your collaborative customers around the world, and they will get the file that you put in their folder, but they won't be able to see anything else. They won't be able to see the work in progress folders and all of your Avid Media Files folders or whatever else you've got in there. They'll just see the folder and the file that you give them access to. And while Philip does that,
hang on a sec.
put it in the read-only, mate. That's fine. Make a new folder. You won't be able to make it. You won't be able to put it in the read-only because I think actually.
That's why.
It's all right, Philip. I think I actually gave you read-write to read-only, but put it and make a new folder in the read-write called Rupert Review or whatever. And I won't bore you by trying to make a new folder on the fly for you. There we go. Superb. Stick it in there. And obviously that's writing to Philip's hard drive locally and bouncing the data up into the S3 bucket so that I'll be able to see it. So it's instantly create the folder, it's instantly synchronize the metadata with my machine, and then subject to Philip's up bandwidth, it will populate the data into the S3 bucket such that I can access it, which is probably about now, I'd have thought. So Philip, if you
yeah, there it is. Well, it's there from my side.
Yeah,
so.
it's playing already on mine.
Good lad. Okay, so if I can
5-10 seconds tops. It's a 32 megabyte file. Yeah, 33.9.
Cool. In fact, everyone should be able to play that, not just me.
Yeah, indeed.
The power of the editorial. And I think, and so I just wanted to, I realized we didn't mention something very important earlier, which was snapshots. So clearly this whole kind of instantaneity of access and sort of everyone being in the same place, if you give people read-write, they'll obviously have delete permissions, which can be occasionally disastrous, depending on if they're using a Wacom tablet or not. Actually, Wacom users just tend to move shit around without telling you where they've dropped it. But if you delete something by accident, that obviously will happen instantaneously, and the metadata will be replicated, and the media will have been deleted. So there is within the Lucid toolset is the ability to create snapshots. So what will happen is you've got your 10 terabytes of data. You snapshot it at a particular moment in time. It will pin the metadata in the cloud and mean that you have not consumed any more storage by snapshotting it. But if someone accidentally deletes one of your terabytes, so you now have 9 terabytes of data where you were hoping to have 10, you will be able to return or go to the snapshot folder, which lives right next door to the primary link media folder, and go in there, and sure enough, the media that was accidentally deleted will be retrievable with no drama. If obviously you run snapshots over a period of time, as you deliberately delete media or change the data set, it will keep, if you like, pinned, as it were, the media that was snapshotted prior to your deleting it deliberately, and therefore it will consume over time a little bit more space than you're currently using in your S3 bucket. But clearly the trade-off between safety and kind of capacity is going to be in your favor if you had any unfortunate incidents. And in fact, just before we finish, just to explain the control panel, if you are interested, there are 2 settings files here. I need to share my screen, and I'm just chatting to myself now. And so let me just show you what the Lucid control panel looks like briefly. So I've got my settings for my machine, and I've got global defaults because I'm the administrator in this situation. Normally, you won't see global defaults if you whip open your control panel, which if you want to is up here. You just open the control panel. But if I show you in the global defaults, I can dictate the mount point for my Windows colleagues. So if I've got a shared workflow that requires the media to all appear at the same point, I can dictate that from a central location, so I can make sure it's all in / wherever, or so on. Same thing for the OS, Mac OS, same thing for Linux. So I can determine where and how people find their media. I can also, and obviously this is important, and forgive me, Niels, for competing operating file editorial systems who'd like to own the directory. We can actually mount on different people's drives a particular folder as the root point, which is to say, if it were, I don't know, a media files folder of some sort, you could make that the root point, and therefore that application would be able to get into that folder and index the media. And another editor working in geographically different location would have a different root point, and therefore they would be able to write media files in there and obviously index them independently of the other people who are working. So I'm getting pinged.
Rupert, can you scroll down a little bit further?
Yes, mate. Hang on.
And there, inside here, you'll also see that there's download and upload rate settings, and that's I saw one of the questions that came up in the chat about are we using things like UDP or things like that for file transfer, or would we work with other kinds of services? One of the reasons that LucidLink is so efficient and performs so well, besides splitting the metadata and treating those operations separately, is how we open up multiple parallel TCP streams for both uploads and downloads of data. 64 by default, that is a user settable parameter. But what it means is that instead of using something like a different UDP protocol, we're opening up multiple streams in order to accomplish the same thing. And we do such a good job of efficiently filling available bandwidth that we've had to implement these upload and download rates basically to prevent users from overtaking the entire available bandwidth. So users who are at home, who might have a spouse who's streaming a Zoom meeting and kids remote learning from home, you won't mess up their work by doing some of this limitations. But this works so well that we've actually had customers replace certain file transfer services for getting very large uploads to colleagues for VFX operations, or for.
No, we tested it with a company who do on-set data, and obviously they had a gig connection to and from Amazon, and they filled it. It absolutely caned it.
And even within the cloud, where you have much larger pipes available to you, I mean, we've easily filled 10 gig connections. So it is quite efficient in the way that.
I can see you've got ambitions there, Peter. I'm looking here. My mouse is gone, but here we go. If you go into the compression, if you go to the upload rate. Clearly, if Martin Hearn's on the call, he'd be excited to see that you're anticipating terabyte data bandwidth.